So, as introduced earlier, my name is Vincent Janelle. I'm one of the organizers of the Vancouver DevOps Days Conference, and I'd like to spend 5 minutes talking to you about Ansible and how, in particular, when you're trying out new tools, suddenly you have a hammer in your hand, everything looks like a nail. And I apologize ahead of time for the text-heavy slides. There's going to be a lot of reading. So what is Ansible? It's an open source automation engine. It's a configuration manager. It can also be your application deployer, but most importantly, it's simple, easy to install, configure, and understand. Literally, just use the one pip command to install it. So warning, complexity kills, particularly with a tool like Ansible. You should always strive for simplification, optimize for readability, think declaratively, and always define idempotent actions, which I'll get into in a bit. Remember the KISS principle, keep it simple and scientific. People will often mutter something about creating idempotent run lists, playlists, playbooks, etc. The end goal is roughly the same. Ensure that you have correct testing, error, and evidence handling so that you can execute things multiple times without breaking it. In other words, do it right or do it twice. Ansible is largely a lot of YAML, yet another markup language. It is very important that you understand that this is not a programming language. Ansible is a declarative model, so if it looks like you're programming in your playbooks, you're doing it wrong. Ansible does, however, have conditionals, and it's helpful with error handling and idempotency, but it should be used with care. So style guides, have one. If you don't know what it means, ask your peers, ask your designers, stuff like that. They'll have opinions. Use an editor with syntax highlighting. Editing YAML is a pain in the ass. If you don't have something helping you. So Ansible, where are we at now? All right, cool. Facts, if you're not aware, from other systems are like Puppet or Chef, are useful pieces of information like host names, IP addresses, etc. Ansible has its own fact system, but if you install Factor or a Hi, you can reuse integrations from those communities or your own. Sharing is caring. Roles are reusable and parameterized pieces of state declaration that allow you to reuse structure without repeating yourself. Playbooks then organize those and, without having to worry too much about what's going on. So on the left here is sort of an example with EC2. You can declare an instance. Ansible will go take care of it. It'll run a role for you, and then install web server or whatever, and then it'll create an ELB. In this case, then it will go and then add the EC2 instance to that ELB. But one of the things that you can do is for future maintenance is you can deregister that EC2 instance, run your roles again, bring the instance up to current state, then put it back in the load balancer. It also has, where are we at now? Damn it. So there's one-shot execution modes where you can just say, I want to do this one thing. I want to run a shell command against a bunch of servers. Ansible will act better than a for loop and give you reports and stuff like that about what succeeded and what didn't. Yeah. So some stories from the trenches. Essentially, when you're trying to do too many complicated things with Ansible, instead of just having Ansible do the thing, you have Ansible try to do the thing to other things. And while you, as your team, may understand this, new staff members don't. And so you bring people in, and they're very confused. Treating Ansible like a shell script. Instead of creating a playbook, that command I showed you earlier with the for loop, you just do that over and over. Ansible, or YAML is not a programming language. Don't do this. This person derived the information from Kubernetes and shoved it in a fact somewhere. This could have been handled by 10 lines of shell. Also necessarily, don't do that part. Don't run it in a loop over and over and over again. You lose a lot of the reporting, the error handling, stuff like that. If you're using Ansible and you're using it to forward maintain your infrastructure, run and exercise your playbooks regularly. Configuration drift happens, stuff changes. You'll end up in an environment. You try to whatever. Anyways. Thank you for watching. This is my first lightning talk ever. And 3, 2.